Gehrig made his last public appearance.
For the past 2 weeks, you've been reading about a bad brag. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Hey guys, it's Matt. That, of course, was Lou Gehrig's retirement from baseball speech. Right about now, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I think this is a gigantic, monstrous truth drop, basically coming from reality itself, showing us what we need to do and how we need to live our lives. Am I going to be able to? It's a pretty bold statement. That's a bold statement. Can I back that up? I don't know. We'll see if I can back that up. So, if there are two things we need to do for ourselves, the first part we've been looking at a lot over the last year, but this is the back part. It might have equal weight, and we've not looked at it all. Nobody in the truth community looks at it, and it's completely been ignored, I think. Up until now, I'm going to look at it and start looking at it a lot more. This back end, this part could be equally as important. So, just a little bit of background, guys. Lou Gehrig, retiring from baseball, 1939. He died 2 years later, 1941. ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. I don't want to say a family member, but somebody that's as close as possible to my family without being a blood relative has ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease right now, needs a cane to walk, drags her foot, has a year or two to live. So it is odd that this disease came out of nowhere. This was the first person of status or celebrity or fame that got it. Where these diseases come from and just kind of pop up like Lyme disease. We'll talk about all that stuff later. It is not the point of this video. This is far, far more important than the truth or chase. Far more important, and the only thing that's important. So, guys, I guess I'd love to spend time talking about the first part first, but I need to kind of get right to it, or I might lose you in this video. This relates to, if there's two things, at least this is my opinion of what I believe we need to do for ourselves, or I need to do for myself. The back part, I've alluded to it recently, but it's been ignored in the truth community and ignored by me and by most everybody. The Braveheart poster or the movie poster says, "Every man dies, not every man truly lives." So I've thought about that a lot recently. You know, the truly living part, if you want to break the chains of Fleetwood Mac's song, or stop the cycle of death and rebirth, the samsara, or get to where you need to be when you die, or whatever your personal belief set is, you know, every man dies, not every man truly lives. Doesn't it make sense, even if it was you that designed your own metrics before coming into this life, doesn't it make sense that the main metric would be, did you truly live? Oh, you didn't? Do it again. Or you didn't go here. Or go directly to jail on a Monopoly board. That's the little Monopoly board cycle of samsara. Go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect your fiat currency. Whoever put the rules down, whatever your personal beliefs is, or religions, or you did it yourself, or God, did you truly live? Oh no. Well, you kind of failed. But see, that is the whole back end. If there's two things to do for myself, that's a huge back end. It could be 50% of the weight, and this is a gigantic truth drop. The Lou Gehrig speech in this regard, and it doesn't mean anybody thinking I'm going here. You don't know me very well if you think I'm going, well, yeah, of course he truly lived. He became one of the most famous first basemen, and awards and all-star games and accolades and people clapping for him, and he truly lived. No, a homeless person that shares a hole in the street in Delhi can truly live. It's figuring out how to truly live. And this is a gigantic truth drop here. It has nothing to do with his fame or fortune or success. And it's figuring out how to truly live. And the way you start down the path of truly living, of course, is ignoring what the system is telling you how you should truly live. It tells you, gets up in your business all the time and says, this is the definition of success. This is what you need to do. It's like, it's all bullshit. It goes along with the theory of everything it presents. You just do the opposite. It doesn't have to do with fame or success. It's, again, if you're homeless in Delhi, in the airport, in the airport runway line, and it's all the shanty towns, and you can learn how to truly live. In fact, you probably learn another major truth drop in this, if you take the inversion, is you'll learn how to truly live if your life is the opposite of this. If it's not charmed, if you have had horrible times, horrible situations, horrible loss, disease, pain, you can learn how to truly live. And what this means, in my opinion, this is the back end. We'll talk about the front end in a moment. There's two things we need to do for ourselves. What about yourself? Is it's not about, how do I want to put this? It's not about achieving anything or checking off boxes here in this life. Not every man dies and every man truly lives. It's getting to the point. The best way to say it is basically you're having a conversation with yourself, or depending on what your beliefs are, you're with the part of you that's not here, having a conversation. Your ego's having a conversation with your spiritual self or your higher self or God or part of you that's not here, whatever your beliefs may be, where you say, I don't need to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I've done all that I can do here. There's nothing more for me to learn here. I've experienced everything there is to experience about myself. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't need to do this anymore. And see, let's just go back to the Lou Gehrig case, because what I'm saying might come out a little bit better if we use this as an example. Okay. Steps up here to the microphone, and there's no, but let me just give you a little bit of background on Lou Gehrig, on what Wikipedia says happened here. And there's no reason for me to believe that what Wikipedia says happened in this case is not what happened, because this is a monster truth drop milestone moment in, quote, our history that seems to carry itself unnaturally through time, like some of the songs, movies, nursery rhymes, and whenever this happens, you can always find an incredible message in it if you're tuned to the right frequency. If you're somebody that's tuned yourself to the frequency on the radio dial to be able to hear it, just like Vanessa VA's retrocausality language that comes through songs, messages for your higher self, where the songwriter, that dummy, some dumb band doing drugs, and they don't even understand the message that was put in it. I believe that not just can happen, it happens all the time and flows out through all sorts of art, media, movies, etc. So Lou Gehrig, 1939, retired. What happened, according to Wikipedia, is he couldn't field a ground ball anymore, and that is what the person that's basically part of my family. You lose motor skills, you just trip and fall, and he couldn't field a ground ball or something, so he benched himself. Okay, this is what's in Wikipedia. He benched himself, and then, tired, and the person that's basically part of my family has to sleep till noon every day. Just tired all the time, and it wasn't getting better. Then saw specialists, and they said, you have this rare disease, and that was coined Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, etc. So gives the speech, and dies 2 years later. Okay, now the truth drop of potentially why this is so big and why this speech is carried through history almost unnaturally is it's showing you what you need to do. I know this isn't as popular anymore. If you're over age 40, you saw this, you've seen this hundreds of times. If you're under 30 or so, you might know about this, but of course, all things that aren't the Wizard of Oz and all things that aren't Humpty Dumpty are going to lose a little bit of their fame over time. Not all things can have the equal weight. So even if the message is gigantic, and if anybody's saying, Matt, where is the message coming from? It's coming from reality itself. I'll try to talk about that on the back end. I know it doesn't make any sense. It probably makes sense. You've been here long enough. But so he says, first, he basically, okay, he kind of gets the sense it's like a death sentence, a rare disease, and there's no attachment. The main point in learning this lesson that reality delivers as it carries its messages and art and milestone moments through history, and what we can learn from this, that again, this is a humongous truth drop in my opinion, without anybody being in on it. No message came from the window at the Illuminati Control Center, Chernobyl. No minion had to deliver this to stay in front of their quota and their contractual relation. This just flowed through reality itself, so people like us can tune ourselves to a certain frequency and learn from it. So, okay, he's very sick, could die. Who knows what the doctors told him? But he has had enough. He needs to do no more. He's completely satisfied. There's no attachment at all to baseball or the world. And he says, and he expresses it by saying, diagnosis of a dread disease, could die. I'm the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Getting completely to a point where he has done enough. There's no regrets that come through this speech. Now, guys, what's the second part I wanted to talk about there? In terms of, I guess it has to do with the attachments to this world. Yeah. See, if he's announcing, I'm the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I'm ready to die. I'm ready to not do this again. Maybe he's an old soul. But if you're not understanding what I'm saying, it's better to do the back end or the opposite of what a total attachment speech would be. If you're not ready to move on, you want to do the cycle of death and rebirth again. A Lou Gehrig, say in the Bizarro world, Lou Gehrig would step up. And this one is the opposite. He's going to attach to this world. He's going to say, first of all, he's going to break down, cry, and all this stuff, and say how he's how horrible it is, his situation, how sorry he is, and he's let his teammates down. And he would then try to attach to baseball further, or try to attach to this world, and say, well, you never know, folks, what modern science can come up with. Maybe I'll be out here playing again someday. That's holding on. That's attachment. That's creating ropes and Jacob Marley chains. He doesn't say anything like that. He doesn't say, it looks bad now, but there could be a cure. You never know. He doesn't say anything about that. There's no trying to hold on or stay close to it or stay close to the game or attach to it. And all this horrible, sorrowful, and all the things he's going to miss. I'm going to miss you guys. None of that. Now, I know he's in some of these pictures, this could be a system manipulation of some, and maybe he's just, in some of these pictures, it does look like he's crying. But, hey, you can't ever clear something out of your eye. But this is showing anybody that sees this picture in the middle, he's crying. If you're just listening, there's a picture of him like, he's just putting his fingers up to his eyes, certainly presented as if he's crying. If you watch what video exists, there is no emotion, crying, sorrow, sadness whatsoever. Even at the very last of the longest film I could find, he's hugging Babe Ruth at the end, complete smiles. He is exuding, I have done enough. He's exuding, it's just, Vin Diesel in Triple X and the diner. Everything in that diner is fake. It's a fake waitress. It's a fake stockbroker. And he sees right through the fakery in Triple X. He sees right through the ruse. And he's saying, I don't play this. And it's the same as what's happening here. Dread disease, I'm going to die. Not a mention about missing baseball, missing the Yankees. In fact, it's the exact opposite. I am the luckiest man on the face of the earth. And you don't have to live this charmed life to get there. I would say it's easier to get there if you don't live the charmed life. If you're a homeless person in Delhi and you completely rediscover who you are and completely have a new understanding of the world or nature and see that everything that the society and the world wants you to chase down and go after is what it's not what it's all about. And you can have a conversation with another aspect of yourself or something, or your consciousness that's not here, or your higher self or God, or just say, I've done enough here. I've rediscovered who I am. I don't need to do this anymore. No attachment, no emotion. And in fact, it's a joyful emotion. If you watch the video, he's smiling, and it's like a resignation, for lack of better words, a resignation. He's standing, just the way it's even reality presents it, he's standing by himself, separate from all the teammates that are still running around trying to get their MVP awards and looking at the accolades and awards of life. And he's just by himself, like, an imaginary spotlight coming down and just saying, hey, I'm going to die. Fine. We can all get ourselves to this point. I don't think any giant rock's going to fly in like Nibiru or whatever, but we've been through this example before. You say it's meant to be. Oh, there's a giant rock coming around the moon and called Nibiru or whatever. I don't think anything flies in from anywhere. You know what I believe about space or don't believe about space, but just say, by my heel, I care not. I've done all I need to get to yourself to the point you say, I've done all I need to do here. I'm not going to do it again. I'm going to tell an aspect of me that I'm not going to do it again. And, the power you create for yourself here comes with dropping ties and attachments, stepping out of the Jacob Marley chains. And it's exactly what he's expressing here. Now, if you go through enough pictures, you see stuff like this. Is he blowing this whole picture seems different. It has a different feel to it. Could it be a complete system fabrication? Yes, it could be. It just looks different. The feel of it is not the feel of this, which has this picture here is the same feel as the video itself that I showed you coming in. And the system, could maybe he actually sneezed or something. I don't know. But the system to me, if it just feels here with a picture like this, that the system wants people to think, oh, he was so sad. And you can learn from this as well. So he was so attached to this world. He was so sad. Look at this picture. He's caught blowing his nose and just sobbing. There is no indication whatsoever, if you watch the video, that he has any of those sorts of emotions. None. So, I mean, this picture and the feel of this is the picture where he gives the video we've all seen. This looks completely different. And could it be some pathetic attempt at the system to try to show you how just attachment to this world? And even Lou Gehrig was so upset. He wasn't. By my heel, I care not. So, this is basically one of the biggest truth drops of all time on the back end of what we need to do for ourselves. Just to get yourself, it just we'll call the back end of what you need to do for yourself in terms of my understanding of is that we'll call it the Braveheart poster, not the Lou Gehrig. You call it the Lou Gehrig if you want. Call it the Braveheart poster. Every man dies, not every man truly lives. Insert woman there, insert whatever your pronoun of choice. It's just true, but this is truly living, and it's an expression of truly living because we don't know, there's no regret or attachment to hold on. All right, that at least what this example shows. There are other examples that can show truly living in a different way. Truly living is ignoring the tricks and deceptions and chasing after the definition of success that this world puts forth, and understanding and using everything that this place gives you to understand about yourself. It has nothing to do with reaching a certain level of fame. I think I've said that a few times. Of course not. I don't have to why I keep saying that. Nobody would go there anyway if you're here at this channel. So, guys, before I talk about we've been talking for a year about the first thing to do for yourself, to see that almost everything is a trick and a deception and just to walk away. But I want to talk about this first, this aspect. This is a good way to express when I say the reality itself shows you. So it's very hard to talk about that, but what I mean is if you've turned yourself to a certain frequency on the radio dial, then the reality itself is set up where media, art, movies, music, nursery rhymes, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Of course, you don't look to the king's horses and king's men to put yourself back together. Those assholes out here, those assholes stole the wrong exam. They can't help you. That's a truth drop. The fraternity house was looking for Bluto and D-Day to get them through it. He relied on assholes to get them through it, and they stole the wrong effing exam. that you got to rely on yourself. This is a truth drop. And Bluto going through the trash looking for the blue copy of the exam or whatever. You remember that stuff? You'd put it up to your nose if you're over age 40. You'd smell the exams before you took them. It's a truth drop. They're sitting there waiting for Bluto, and they're going to screw it up. You don't rely on someone else. So, in terms of the reality itself has to deliver these messages through art and music, just like Vanessa VA's retrocausality language embedded in music, or the artists themselves have no idea the real message being communicated, or there's a second message or a carrier wave embedded, just like that scene in the movie Contact with Jodie Foster. So if you go through this, and any Zachary Hubbard disciple, or people that study that, and it's great for them. The gematria flows through this reality, no doubt about it. The gematria is there. I'm not saying anything negative about it. It's just not my thing. I don't look at it closely because I'm not a numbers person, and I kind of got to the point where no doubt the gematria flows through the big events. It's there. People that look for gematria, it's interesting because there's no doubt it flows out. But what the point I want to say here, in the presentation I want to make here, is it's not, I'm going to say one more time, guys, those have been here a long time, it's certainly not planted. Tens of thousands of cases, it's just men and women and the secret societies running around planning the numbers. Come on. We 5 years ago, we figured out there's no possible way people that, open up can of chunky soup and sit on the pot could pull all this off. Come on. There's other means. To me, the reality itself delivers it. We'll talk about all the potentials of what that could be. What could stand behind the screen, dark or light. It doesn't matter. For now, it's simple enough to say. We don't have to get into it too much for the purposes of here. The main purpose of what you should be doing in the truth community at all right now, 99% of what you should be doing is figuring out what you need to do for yourself. So how the gematria is delivered through every major event, well, how does that help yourself? It's there. The gematria is there. The synchronicities are there. The endless coincidences, and it's going to be there. So, okay, well, then we know that, and we know its nature, and we don't have to look at it anymore. But the point here is, if you go over to Wikipedia, if you are a gematria person, I guarantee the gematria will just flow out of here. I don't understand it, but you can just read the matrix code. I guarantee it would be here if you looked at it closely enough. I mean, look, the disease forced him to retire at age 36. Matt, don't you? That's 3 6s. Then this is a fake story. Come on. It doesn't look. And you go over here too. If you go here and say Lou Gehrig funeral. This relates to a very important point, too. Look at this. Oh, Matt, the checkerboard floor in the funeral. Oh, yeah. So, Matt, the truth community, the checkerboard floor. This is the Freemasons. And so he's lying here in this open casket. Matt, they got a dummy in there. That's not really Lou Gehrig. These people are all paid and threatened. They're all plants. And, no, they got Lou Gehrig to lie in here, but he's just faking it. He's sleeping. He took the same little potion that Julia took at the end of that soliloquy. He's going to wake up and he's going to go off to the David Bowie Island. This is, let me just pause for a second, guys. The checkerboard floor, that doesn't mean every time you see this or the 33 or the numbers or the gematria, that doesn't mean all the men and the women that are allowed to be in certain secret societies, if they're not allowed to be inducted into certain secret societies, then the women are called upon to run the air. It doesn't mean that it's men and women running around. The reality itself can show all of this stuff. The reality itself, in terms of delivering the message to those that are tuned to the right frequency, is about 1 million times more powerful than what some group of people that sit on the pot can accomplish. But the truth community is so boxed in. Oh, because it's a checkerboard floor, there's something very nefarious going on here. Oh, he's faking it. He's lying in this. It's open casket, but he took that poly juice that Harry Potter takes, and he's going to wake up like Juliet woke up just to find Romeo dead. It's all, this is when Rhonda gave me a nice little email the other day that was also like a wake-up call. And I'll just tell you what she said, because it really is applicable to everything that we look at. She's saying, Matt, be careful when you present this stuff, like the kid that pitched the baseball, the Santa Fe High School bang. It's probably not all, is it real or is it fake? It's got to be one or the other. Is it real or is it fake? She's saying just look at it as manufactured. That's all you need to see. That it's not spending years determining is it real or is it fake. Just all you need, once you get a sense it's manufactured, it could have elements of real, it could have elements of fake. Once you get a sense that they put their sticky fingers into it, whether it be the minions or the dark part of reality itself, once you get a sense it's manufactured, then you need to step back and say, what is it manufacturing and what does it want me to do with it? How does it want me to run with it? How does it want me, who are you? I'm Sisyphus. And now I have an excuse to try to roll this stone up the hill one more time. And at the very, very top, oh no, it rolled back down again. And the truth community will just be Sisyphus and run down. And we're going to try to push it up again and try to present this again and look at this the same way and try to wake people up and do it over and over and over again and be Sisyphus. It's like, that's actually the first part of the two things we need to do for ourselves. We need to stick on the second part. But Rhonda's like, just determine if something's manufactured. Then it might be real with fake elements. It might be fake with real elements. It doesn't matter. It's just what the manufactured part wants you to do to corrupt yourself, to try to use it to wake people up, to get you looking in the wrong place, to get you looking outside of yourself, to get you waiting on Bluto and D-Day to bring the test scores back. And she's right. That's the key part. Light beer from Miller, or the light beer from Miller commercials, the old ones from the late 70s and early 80s or mid 70s. And if you're over 40, you know what this is all about. But if you're not, or under a certain age, it was constant commercials and bickering between two groups saying, no, light beer from Miller is less filling, low calories. And the other half says it tastes great. It must be one or the other. And you had entire bars and celebrities inside the bars and people like ex-football players and, other than the easy opening cans, guys just arguing, back and forth, less filling, no, tastes great. And it has to be one or the other when, of course, the beer is both. Well, let's stretch it a little bit. It's not that great, but it tastes great. The beer would say it tastes great and it's less filling. All right. There's no need to argue, guys. So it's like the event, it must be real, it must be fake. Rhonda says, no, it's likely elements of both, and some things lean to one side, like the movie with Robin Williams, Captain Hook, that sort of event. That, of course, is either 100% leans to one side or is very little real there. So some are farther over than the others. There could be real elements. So Ron is like, it's manufactured. Just recognize it as such. And then what is it manufacturing? Why is it manufacturing an element? Mostly and always to get the attention of the truth community. And what does it want us to do with it? Oh, it wants us to try to take it and push it up the hill again as Sisyphus? Get it to the top? Oh no, it rolled down again. Oh my God, is anybody surprised? So, look, the reality itself manufactures. Sometimes the gematria flows in when the event is so big that we need to use it as a truth takeaway to understand what we should do for ourselves. Things it's just like weird coincidences and synchronicities start to come up. And here's another good example. I didn't know this today. So Gehrig, which earned him his nickname, the Iron Horse, and I think I showed in the video coming in, he was called baseball's Iron Man. So he had the streak of most consecutive games without any illness or sickness or injury. So of all people, the guy who's known to be the most toughest, rock solid, always will play the next game, of all people, baseball's Iron Man, he gets the dread disease and has to leave the game. Is this a coincidence? Well, it certainly seems like a coincidence. It would be a coincidence to anybody listening to this or the guy down the cul-de-sac or in your family. But in terms of when the reality itself is delivering a giant truth message to those that can interpret it, to those that have tuned themselves to the right frequency, then if you weren't sure, I mean, you get to the point where you just say that's a truth drop. You know, like I thought about the Lou Gehrig speech, and then I looked at him like that's just a truth drop. Then when you get that sense, when you look into it, all that other stuff, all the strangeness and the gematria is just kind of falls in line to tell you that your instincts on what the event was is real. Like, what a coincidence. Happened to look into this. Baseball's Iron Man, who, most consecutive games, he gets it. Of all people. See, it's just the way the reality itself has to do business. It's not plotted and planned by secret societies. So, especially in terms of the thing that reality shows of what we need to do for ourselves. So, guys, this is the second part is the Braveheart poster. You could also call it the Lou Gehrig. It's every man dies and every man truly lives. What does it mean for you to truly live? It doesn't mean going and doing check boxes. I saw the pyramids. I saw this. I did. People's bucket list is all about seeing things, running around the world and seeing megaliths or whatever. It's like, have you gotten to the point? It first of all, probably starts with regrets. Have you gotten to the point where we'll do the Nibiru event. Nibiru is coming around the mountain when she comes. Here comes, you look up at the moon one night and then this gigantic asteroid pokes its head out. And there's Nibiru. We'd be like, oh, I really regret, I didn't do this, I didn't do that, I regret not doing this, I feel all that. This is kind of whether you think if karma is real attachments or not, it does apply, the karma thing. Like, do you feel like you need to do anything? And see, Lou Gehrig was like, I'm the luckiest man on the face of the earth. And if he considers himself truly the luckiest man on the face of the earth, you could say to him, well, if you give a little part of yourself away, I'll get you one more season. He's like, I don't care. I already now consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Do you consider yourself the luckiest man or woman on the face of the earth? As Nibiru pokes its head around, and I don't believe in any of that stuff. Of course, the moon one night, or you just say, "Bring it on! By my heel, I care not." You're like, "Oh, I wish I did this. I wish I did that." And what that means, again, is luckiest man on the face of the earth. You could say luckiest woman on the face of the earth when Nibiru pokes its head out is good. I completely use this world 100% for all that it could give me in totally understanding myself. I'm done with it. My aspect of higher self or God knows I'm done with it. I have no attachment to it. There's nothing I'm going to regret. I don't care. By my heel, I care not. Doesn't mean you want to go jump. Well, then why not just go commit suicide and jump off a bridge? People email me or whatever. Come on. Oh yeah, that's the way. Because you can be fascinated with certain wonders of how this reality works, or with nature, or with your cats, or that doesn't create, as long as you know who you are, that doesn't create attachment to this place. Lou Gehrig, he's not crying. He's not, so that's the back half of it. The more important half. The front half of it is where we already are. The book itself, my book is on my lap right now. A very kind man named Niall in Ireland. He, I don't know if somehow his family has a printing shop or something. He bound it up hardback and sent it to me with some softback copies. But I'm holding the hardback, and this is before I added 70 or 80 pages to it. It's just heavy. And the point of me holding the book is, and I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. You can just email me. I'll just PDF it to you. It's not even for sale in print. Who the hell would print this book? But anybody wants the book, I just give it away via PDF. It's just like, it's going to approach 1,000 pages soon of an endless cataloging of the fraud. Now, this is now a discussion on the first thing we need to do for ourselves. So the book is a never-ending catalog of the fraud, deception, lies, manipulation of how the reality of the dark side of reality works through its minions to get us to chase down and investigate that almost everything presented by the news or an official authority source is not really what happened. All right? So you get to the point very early on that these are artificial breadcrumbs. Hansel and Gretel breadcrumbs, not much here. Where are the breadcrumbs, Hansel and Gretel? Wasn't that part of this story? Yeah, hopefully that's great. We get this stick figure drawing. Sorry, guys. It lays its breadcrumbs down in terms of what it wants us wasting our time on. And we get to the point, which is we've talked about in the last few videos, where you've kind of, again, by my heel I care not. You've seen enough. And I alluded to it in a video or two back. And you need to get to the point, or this is my own opinion, I'm expressing for myself, need to get to the point where it's like, you know what? In terms of seeing 1,000 things that are fake, and this is like, I have to bear this burden alone, or with you guys, but in terms of my circle of family and friends and alone there. It's like a Christian would say, carry your cross. And I alluded to this in the last few videos. It's like, just have to know this exists, be desperately wanting to run around and talk about it to anybody that'll listen. But it's like part of winning this aspect of it is, I'm holding the book and it's going to push 1,000 pages of the endless fraud presentation. How nothing adds up, everything, and the reality breaks down at every turn. Everything is a ridiculous synchronicity, or every event presented in Wikipedia is fake. And it's like, as much as I would love, and I'm holding it now, to run around and to show people, to talk to people, or it's a real heavy book, hardback, to beat somebody on the back of the head with it and then just shove it in their face, like running after Truman as he's jogging through the park and just tackling him, throwing him down and saying, "You live in a fake world, Truman." He'd think you're nuts. You just tackled Truman in the park, at least in the first 30 minutes of the movie. After the sky broke through, he might take your word for it after the fact, but at least in the first 30 minutes, you can't just go tackle Truman. That's what we are. You have to say, okay, there goes Truman. There's nothing I can do. He'll never believe me if I told him. Carry it yourself. And and everything's going to break down as a fraud. I'm not going to look at it anymore. Champlain, Florida, the tower in Florida. Of course, I didn't look at it for more than 5 minutes, but if you spent days looking at it, of course, it's going to be riddled with gematria. Of course, there's going to be some ridiculous elements. Of course, there's going to be crazy synchronicity. They can't just keep pulling this off thousands of times over, people running around in their secret societies. It's a characteristic or a symptom of reality itself when you tune yourself to a certain frequency. Does that matter? Does that mean if we turn yourself to a certain frequency, the ridiculous event, like we see that reality where someone else doesn't? Yes, potentially. We see that reality might not even exist for somebody on a different frequency. But all that matters is what it means for you. It means that if we once declared ourselves to be Sisyphus, we're just going to sit at the bottom of the hill and just relax. Now, if we do that, the stone will try to get our attention. It'll be the rabbit will jump up onto our lap. The stone, you look over and it'll be half the size. And then just for a second, you'll say, I think I can actually roll that all the way because it seems a little smaller than I remember. Or you'll touch it and it's like a styrofoam. It's light. It wants to be rolled up the hill. The rock itself in the Sisyphus, ancient, Greek legend or whatever it may be, that this is reality itself, the chase, the endless and pointless chase. So years ago, guys, I said, analyzing if an event presents itself through the news or through the minions, analyzing the elements, the who, what, when, why, when, where, how, I said almost 3 years ago, well, probably, let's just say 2 years ago, I said examining the elements is a complete waste of time. And we're taking that to the final step here. So we have the first part of what we need to do for ourselves covered. Examining the elements, and I said with the exception of why. Rhonda's manufactured this event. Is it real or is it fake? It's not important to know that. It's important to know what part of it is manufactured, and we'll be able to sniff that out immediately, just like Champlain. What part is real? What is it? You could smell in like the first 5 seconds. The Champlain Tower was towers, whatever, the Florida thing was manufactured somehow. Whether they you used a real event and made it look fake, or obviously I think with the opposite for that, of course. But we're not going to get into that. It doesn't matter. Once us discussing that, it's pointless. It's manufactured. Once you recognize it's manufactured, then the why can sometimes be important. That element. Why did it do that? Why did it manufacture that element inside of it? Most of the elements manufactured inside of it are for the truth community. What does it want me to do with it? And I need to, you know how you'll know? Because it's what you want to do with it, what you'll be addicted to do with it. oh, I want to take the kid that played baseball the next day, and I want to so badly show it to Tony. So then there you go. That's it. Well, you have a lot of in you that's part of this world. You have a lot of things in you that are part of this world. Your avatar, ego. It'll tell you. I mean, I desperately want to show it to Tony. If I desperately want to do that, I need to know. Then that's the Sisyphus rock. Then I don't want to do that. And the more powerful part of myself will override. The part of can the more powerful part of you, young man, when you're 27 years old, living in the big city with your first full-time job, can you? You want to go back out at 10 o'clock to find some drunk girl to have some stupid sex act with, but are you getting big enough to kind of overcome that? Are you going to let the ego and the avatar and the little head controlling the big head? So that's a microcosm of generally what we need to do here. Not roaming around Chicago trying to find a girl for a late night sex act, but in terms of what does it want us to do here? The chase, the pursuit. The figuring out the elements, the who, what, when, why, and how. Well, the why is the only thing important. So get to the point where you just say, by my heel I care not. We're all there. We're there. You should be able to sniff in the first 30 seconds of an event without any research whether there's a fake element. If you want to spend 5 days determining exactly what's real and fake, that's pointless. If you sniff there's a fake element, and if you sniff there's something in the way they want to make their presentation through the news, sniff it's not quite right, and that's almost everything major that makes the news, then you might want to just walk away from it, or you might want to say, well, I'm interested to know what the manufactured element is because I'm interested in what it wants me to do, which you'll instinctively be able to know, and then you can learn from it. Oh, I know not to do that. Now, many of us are already there. We don't really need to do the first part anymore. If there's something happens like Champlain Towers or the Gotthard tunnel, all put out there to get our attention. I mean, we were so stupid. We were so stupid back in the day. Let me put that up. I mean, to be chasing this stuff, but now we know, and we found out in time. The Gotthard tunnel. I don't know what it's called. I didn't even spell it right. Tunnel conspiracy. I don't know. Well, you to get all the. I'm sure they don't know. It knows how to deliver. I mean, I fell for it. We really believed. I mean, we caught them in some. Matt, you don't think they bow down? The Illuminati bow down to these sort of rituals? They might. But it will be if it's a real type of event where they gain power or they bow down to it or give allegiance to it or whatever it is their religion is. It'll be behind closed doors. It'll be behind an eyes wide shut party. When they throw this shit out there for us and the truth community comes running with it, it was exactly what we were meant to see. Now, I am 100% sure, and it's obviously my opinion, but, is anybody at this point that has gotten as far as we've gotten, anybody at this channel at least going, we caught him in something, Matt, they don't care. They're going to still have an ode to their pagan gods, and they don't care who sees. Oh, yeah, that's it, yeah. I mean, you know how much stuff was in this Gotthard tunnel? The clock hands moving back and forth at rapid pace and stopping on the 9 and stopping on the 11. I mean, come on. If they're going to gain ritualistic power through it, and they'll do it behind closed doors. And can I speak for them? No. But all I'm saying is when they put this absurdity out, it was for us. We should have immediately said, and it's a learning experience. I fell for it too. But immediately this pops up. We say, wait a second. What is it? I made videos about it on the Texas Shrugged channel. Of course I did. What does it want me to do? It wants me to make videos about it, as I did on the Texas Shrugged channel. And it wants me saying, look at the conspiracy in this but Matt, why would it want to give itself away? Why would it want to call attention to a one world system? And we don't have all those answers. Who knows? By my heel, I care not. All it matters If you want to keep playing its game, keep playing its game. That's it. Those questions, see, that's what it wants us to do. Why would it want to call attention to itself? Let's ponder that. That's all stuff outside of yourself. That's all screen exercise. It's just, this is complete bullshit that was put there to get our attention. If you know that, what's the only thing you can do to win? Not give it any attention. It's that simple. But it's so difficult to hold on to this. I want that you could use this to wake up Tony. If I showed him all the ridiculousness in this Gotthard Tunnel ceremony opening and these horned goats running around and all this bizarre stuff, and somebody might actually come to the conclusion that the world isn't really what the new TV news presents. Or I could really just show him the Alex Jones footage. That's what the Alex Jones footage for Bohemian Grove was. This is our burden to carry, guys. This is my opinion. You might disagree. There is no, it doesn't matter. And if we all were to do this is our burden to carry. We see reality for what it is. We're tuned to the right frequency. If it's our burden to carry, guess what they'll do, or it'll do, the reality itself, with using its minions, of which many times the minion isn't even aware of how it's being used by the reality itself. Guess what it'll do? It'll get more ridiculous in its presentation. The Gotthard Tunnel, there'll be, live spirit cooking events where Gaga cuts into a live person's, takes a chunk out of somebody's behind. There's $1 million wound. You'll have the Gotthard Tunnel and what you see here on steroids. It'll jump, the rabbit itself will jump up onto your lap. It will, to try to get our attention. And we just breaking down shows death and people hanging from ropes. And I mean, come on. Obviously put there for us. With us? For us? Yeah, for us. You really think you're so special, Matt. The group that controls everything, Jeff Bezos and his $200 billion, and the people that you say pull off all these scams and run world central banks, they're just putting videos out for you guys, your little community. You know how delusions of grandeur, Matt, you and your little group, you'll mention in a second from now how you're Neo from the Matrix. Yeah, we're Neo from the Matrix. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. We are needed by the Oracle and the Architect somehow to deliver the code back into the system. Guys, I'm convinced of this. I really am. It could be like a mini solipsism that there's not many real people here. We could be it. I mean, and if you're real, you found your way to this community by now. That's in the truth community. I'm not saying this channel, but you know what I'm saying? It's just, you know what I'm saying? Maybe the real people with all the buffoonery, if Dolores Cannon was still here, she might say, yeah, the NPCs will never see it. The real people will have found their way over to the conspiracy side of the river by now. And then when they get there, the system will then try to distract them for the rest of their lives so they can't accomplish anything. Accomplish what? Taking down the system, the sealed indictments, bringing Hillary to jail? No. Not caring about any of that and accomplishing something for themselves. So a real spirit is taken out of the snow globe and it never comes back. That they don't, that's a real, real beings or real spirits are probably real flavorful louche to these things. 31 flavors a real human being. The NPCs, maybe they can get some louche out of certain other types of classes, but that's like rice cakes. What if you were really looking forward to your favorite Breyer's chocolate ice cream and somebody said, I brought something else. What'd you bring instead? Rice cakes? It sucks. They probably think the NPCs are rice cakes. They can't really feed off them maybe there aren't many real people here. So we play right into let's shut the spigots off. Let's sour the milk. Forget sour the milk. Just turn the spigot off. I don't know how to sour the milk. It's just safer to just turn it off. Look, Matt, there's a new tunnel opening, and there's 4 hours of Illuminati pagan worship that makes the Gotthard Tunnel ceremony looks like an opening of a new Sam's Club. Who cares? I'm not going to look at it anymore. I mean, look at this. It wasn't meant to get our attention. The angels rising up in the eye and Look, I'm not getting on any channels. I broke this down because it was necessary. It was necessary. A lot of people remind me, Matt, don't make it seem like we were such jerks or whatever. You wouldn't be where you are today, or we wouldn't be where we are today if we didn't break down Gotthard Tunnel and see the 7-Eleven job application. It was all that going through the bog is necessary. I've said that, no doubt about it. But I think they figure they can keep us on the train Oh, where's my stop? Oh, it's next. Just keep on the train. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what. Here's more gematria to look at. Here's more fake events. Here's another. We'll create this event, another Gotthard tunnel, more pagan worship. But don't I ever get off? No. Well, yeah, you get the next stop. We promise. It's the next stop. The next stop comes and look at this brochure. We opened another tunnel, another pagan ritual. I was going to get off. No, you can get off next time. And then you just go to your death trying to pursue the elements of the fake events, who, what, when, where, why, and how. And you go, oh gosh, I fell into the same trap as the guy that works in the cubicle, the guy down the cul-de-sac. I fell into the same trap as somebody that worships the red carpet. Ryan Seacrest and the red carpet. You know, it's no different. Someone that worships this BS, if you do in the truth community what they want us to do and make endless videos about Gotthard Tunnel, it's no different from their perspective. One is not any more just than the other. And as we've been alluding to recently, this is far more benign. It's probably much worse to be running with the truth stuff and propagating the way we've been, unless we wise up and say we've done enough, we've had enough, we won't do it anymore. And then the back end is removing attachments, removing Jacob Marley chains, getting yourself into an exact state where I consider myself to be the luckiest man or woman on the face of the earth, getting right to that state. And why can't we get there? Why aren't we there right now? Consider myself, no matter how hard your life is, how you can't pay your bills or whatever. It's like, look at how close you are, or you're there in terms of using this world to ignore the distraction, to learn everything you needed to know about yourself. Do you feel in any way you want to come back and do anything? And everybody listening is like, no way, no way. Do you feel there's anything, if Nibiru came around the mountain tonight when she comes, is there anything you'd be like, oh, I wish I could have done this from me, or you need to get yourself where? No, I would miss my cats. Okay. It's like, we're not going to take it too far. If somebody's married to a spouse and they're in love with their spouse, it's like, oh, I need to get to a point where I just don't care about my spouse. That's dropping attachment. I don't think we have to go that far. It's attachment to this reality, this 3D plane of existence itself. Is there anything? Here comes Nibiru coming around the mountain when she comes. Matt, are you saying you wouldn't be completely scared? I'm in the Avatar. Of course I would be. The fear of death is natural. But even that can be overcome. Is there anything I wish I would have done? No. Is there anything I want to come back for? No. Do I really understand the essence of who I am and how this ridiculous crafted reality works with its manufactured events? Yeah, I do. All right, come on, Nibiru. It's just like, is it a truth drop? Whatever that is it. Steve Buscemi, is that his name? Who was in Armageddon? Was he Mr. Pink in the movie? Let's do that, because showing these Mr. Pink showing the reservoir. It's so exciting for me and I'm not good at this. I'm just have no. The Mac was so bad for so long. I'm not used to doing this. This guy, Mr. Pink in Reservoir Dogs, he doesn't give a crap about, on Armageddon, that thing smashing into the earth. He's like, I've got a front row seat to the end of the earth. He's loving it. It's like this is a truth drop. He's got a front row seat to the end of the earth. He's like, and even when they're about to get out, he's like, no, I had a front row seat to the end of the earth. He doesn't care. He doesn't have attachments in the way his character is presented. He doesn't have he's not worried about, I would like to see my Malibu beach home again. It's like a mini truth drop. Nobody planted, I know this is a stretch. I know, guys. Nobody planted, but if you believe this one was one, I'm doing this on the fly. Nobody would have planted it. No director said, we need to get this message in. It just flows out of reality itself, the way these artists create a lot of songs that Vanessa VA would say, with retrocausality language, speak to your spiritual self, speak to your higher self, where the artist isn't even aware of the message. And then there's a lot of stuff in between, like let's do live throwing. I'm getting better at this, guys. Live throwing copper. Okay. Now, you get into these album covers where unless every single one of these band members are bloodline relatives, are initiatives of whatever society, where like Sarah McLachlan, they're laying down the building a mystery school, and they're laying down the constant as above, so below, throwing copper, the alchemical and all. I mean, it's just, this happens so many times with these bands that, you get into, this is kind of breaking the rules of what I'm saying. Like, so Matt, you're saying that this alchemical message just flowed through this band that were just a bunch of dummies that were just about drinking and doing drugs and getting girls. No, I'm not, absolutely not in this case. If a song speaks to you, for what Vanessa VA calls the retrocausality language, it speaks to your higher self or spiritual side, I would say in almost all cases, as would she, that the artist isn't aware of it. We're tuned to a completely different frequency. Somehow reality itself accomplishes this. That tells you do have a absolute, much more powerful or spiritual side of you, or higher self, that's not here. To be able to pull that off where the band isn't even aware of it. But whenever you get this, the Sarah McLachlan building a mystery, or this, like, I'm just, throwing copper. What is copper? Is it Venus? I'm no expert at this, but there's a million examples of this. This is, to me, not just where it's flowing out. This is where it's obvious examples of how it is controlled and laid down by the creepy piano player in the Under the Silver Lake. Let's do that. Piano player under the Silver Lake. It just points to how fake, all this presentation of all of these bands, Stairway to Heaven, which is actually, maybe Jimmy Page was so creepily connected that maybe he was able to do that on his own. But these bands they're not all bloodline and initiates and all that. I mean, it's endless, the symbolism that comes through these bands. In that case, it is more like the creepy piano player from Under the Silver Lake, this is in the movie a figment or representation of the minion control structure that gives artists their songs, tells them what themes to write about. Maybe Pearl Jam writes 3 songs on their own, but here's 3 from your writers that you're going to need to deliver these 3 Pearl Jam, and the record company says and they're going to be great songs, so why would Pearl Jam not want to deliver them? So there's 3 layers. There's a band just making a song on their own, and it'll be some pop song about love, and there won't be any messages, and there won't be any alchemical symbols on it's just like this endless, what is it, George Michael Faith album, Faith cover with these symbols. I mean, who knows what this stuff means? But where's the symbols? Do you remember the little symbols for, I guess, I don't know if you'll be able to see it here. These little cute little symbols, an uncompleted star, a heart with a line through it. He's got 5 symbols that he carried through the Faith album. And this is more like live throwing copper. He's not aware of it, and it just somehow, the symbolism, the creepy piano player from Under the Silver Lake has to deliver this endless symbolism, and maybe it is under their contract of how they have to do business in terms of the message, but the what Vanessa VA calls the retrocausality language, that the message to true spiritual self or higher self that you can pick up by being on the right frequency is not coming, I think she would say, and I agree with, not coming from the creepy piano player from Under the Silver Lake. It's coming potentially from the aspect of you that's not even here, or from God, or something that's so beyond this little ridiculous snow globe, so powerful. And that's what I think this is with the Lou Gehrig. I consider myself to be the luckiest man on the face of the earth. A gigantic truth drop. No crying, no attachment. No, I'll be back soon, guys. Doesn't say a word about coming back. And, he got himself to the point where if Nibber was coming around the mountain that day, he'd look up and be like, okay, fine. And it's a gigantic truth drop. And when these things are carried through, leapfrog through time and history, these themes and stories, you can find something in all of them if it unnaturally carries itself through through time. The way, one guy resigning from baseball in 1939. Yeah, he was a great hitter. He made all-star games. But would most people today still know about it and still be able to know about he's just resigning. He got sick. I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. Most people, even under 30, have heard about this. That's unnatural. It would have been forgotten about in the late 50s. It carries itself unnaturally through history, like Humpty Dumpty is the greatest example. What a dumb ass nursery rhyme if it didn't carry the highest meaning of all time. He's lying on his back looking for all the king's horses and all. They don't say what actually happened to him in the end. He's just crying out for all the king's horses and all the king's men to put his literal broke ass back together again. And since this is a new Mac and these are such incredible features, we can do Humpty Dumpty. And we've done this before. There's so many different artistic renderings, so many different animations. It's carried through movies like Shrek. It's just all over the place. And it gives itself away as being unnatural. It's not good enough. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses, all the king's men couldn't put him. My favorite example of all time, guys, if somebody said that at the end of the bar, like 4 drunks at the end of a bar, I got something, guys, pretty good. I think I can go far with this. Like Forrest Gump, clears the mud off himself, and it's the smiley face. Man, not too many years after that, made a lot of money from that. He just said, I got something, guys. Humpty Dumpty. They'd be like, shut up. Get this guy another shot. You're always coming up with your big ideas. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Shut up. Nobody would say it's great. It sucks. So I consider myself to be the luckiest man on the face of the earth is a lot more interesting. And of course, you can almost make an excuse for that to carry itself through time. It's still a bit unnatural. But the more unnatural it is, like this Humpty Dumpty, it just sucks. It would have never been repeated again after the first time it was written down or set out. It's that bad. So thousands and hundreds of thousands of different memes. So then and you say that means the highest truth is in it. All the king's horses and all the king's men. He's lying on his back, asking for help to put me back together. Get Obama. He'll have somebody that can do it. Put on the Ellen Show. She'll have some. Dr. Phil can help. When's Dr. Phil? He'll put me back together. Put yourself back together. And he had a great fall, less like us. We fell. Matt, are you saying we're fallen angels? I don't know. We had a great fall at some point. We have issues here. We have a lot to overcome. We sit down on the pot. The Christians would say, born into sin. There's things to do here. We maybe, and there's an aspect of ourselves that had to go into time out. This time out. Spiritual, cosmic, everlasting, all that ever was and all that ever will be. Time out this world. We're going to give you a lot of good things down there so you lose yourself. You had a great fall. We're going to put a piece of yourself into this snow globe. Time out. And, had a great fall. Didn't equate you or me to Lucifer or anything like that. But then he had to put himself back together. He didn't even try to put himself back together, the dumb broke ass. So endless themes. And why would you even sketch that out? Whoever sketched this out, I'll say he. Why did he? She. Why did he do it? Why did she do it? Whoever whoever did this, why? Like, what's so, what are you doing, Jack? I'm sketching out Humpty Dumpty. I'm talking about this exact image. Why? Has it never been done before? Like, is it so fascinating? Why do people do this? Who sketched this out and why? Because the reality sees to it, and even it carries through even, like, the guy that sketched this out is doing reality's bidding without being aware of it. This theme has to be carried through, and there's no better example than Humpty dance. It's endless. It's endless. A different part of culture had to carry the the Humpty thing through. This isn't Humpty Dumpty. It's related somehow. You fat girl. Come here, are you ticklish? Yeah, I called you fat. Look at me, I'm skinny. It never stopped me from getting bit. That sucked. Sorry, guys. The Humpty dance. Here's your chance to do the hump. See you guys.